All right. Hello, Stefan. Good to see you.
Good to
Welcome
see
to this.
you.
This conversation is part of Coherence 2025. My name is Bart, and this is Stefan and Michael from Propel. And yeah, you're joining Coherence as a project. So thank you for accepting the invitation, for joining Coherence, and also for participating in this conversation. This is a onboarding conversation to get to know more about the work that you're doing and how it connects to coherence as well. So yeah, welcome once again.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, to get started, can you share more about yeah, Propel, what you're developing, and yeah, also how you think it connects to Coherence 2025 and the themes of wise AI and conscious collaboration. As far as you can, yeah, see now from what you understand about coherence, I understand also there's still a lot more to discover, but yeah, see how far you can get in answering that question.
Sure thing. Thank you for the opportunity, Bart. I'm really glad to see the growth that you've had with Coherence, and it's impressive to understand more about how us as individuals that are focused on collecting people together for the sake of solving challenges and, like you said, creating paradise on Earth. It really is possible if you just understand how to really connect people, and that's what I've been doing at Propel. Propel Earth is this organization that I've started that's largely a community of people who are building companies that are social impact focused, with the idea being to connect them to resources, mentorship, and support in general, so that they can fundraise for their startups and learn more about how do they solve global challenges together. Um, One of the biggest, I'd say, areas of collaboration between us, which you mentioned earlier, is the idea of building in public. Really, what I've been supporting founders to do is to share their story with the world. Doing the impact storytelling is very important to make sure that you're getting access to the resources that you need, because otherwise you're going to be left without the support that really helps to jumpstart your project. And what I've been doing and what my whole community of volunteers have been doing is really doing what you're doing right now, which is getting an initial assessment of different projects and founders around the world focused on making profit and an impact, and then seeing how we can connect them to the correct people so that they can continue to make an impact, either whether it's through their work directly or something else. And yeah, I think in general for us now, it's just how do we kind of share the story that Coherence is doing with more people? I know you mentioned that there's a lot of people already involved and you don't necessarily need more partners, but we were just discussing like maybe doing grant writing together or something, but this storytelling aspect is something that I think shouldn't be forgotten about. And with that comes the partnerships as well, and connecting to the right people that can put your project on the world stage, that more people can engage with it in a manner that helps us get towards paradise on earth faster. So anything that we can do to help you with our volunteers and our network of people around the world that care about changing the world in a positive way is my benefit.
Yes, yes, yeah, nice, and thanks for weaving in paradise on Earth.
It's
I
amazing.
mean, that's why we're here, right? Yeah, that's the whole point. Coming together to collaborate and bring forth the projects that can, yeah, help regenerate the planet and bring beautiful visions to life. So yeah, I'm glad to see you stepping into that role and taking that leadership as well, of helping uh, founders, startup founders, to share their work and to build in public, to share their stories and to ignite collaboration. And yeah, there's a clear overlap with coherence, which is also kind of built from this philosophy of build in public, helping projects and organizations to show themselves. Not just It's not just about showing, but it's going deeper. It's about actually showing how collaboration takes shape, um, it's emerging. So it's not just any kind of conversations we're hosting here. The goal is really to show and host conversations that are all about finding collaborative touch points and weaving that web. So yeah, I'm very curious also to see how, yeah, Propel and Coherence can strengthen each other, and yeah, I think there's a lot to learn from each other. Um, to go a little bit deeper, because I know that you are developing a platform, um, and I'm just very curious. Like, yeah, can you share a little bit more about what you're developing, and also how that's um, aimed to help the founders and the startups that you're connecting with?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. One of the things that I think is the biggest areas of collaboration for us is the sort of like local community and then global impact, really understanding what is existing already around the world in terms of people making an impact and the path towards making an impact. So what we've been doing so far is we've been featuring founders from around the world to come join our platform and share with those people who are interested what they're doing, what they're looking for, how can they be supported, etc. That's sort of the base level. Beyond that, we're also now looking for people who are providers, people who want to volunteer or want to sell their services to help these startups to grow and scale, to list themselves on the platform and be able to share, similar to how HSC does it, is like the either barter or paid system. Beyond that, I think what I was describing about the local communities and global impact really ties in best with the idea of like a Wikipedia style mapping of global challenges, really doing these kind of in-depth interviews with startup founders to understand the problems that they're facing right now and how they're working towards solving them, and then matching them together with other startup founders who are interested in those same problems so that they can collectively solve together. Beyond that, really understanding more about the specific industry, the specific issue area, the specific region that they're a part of, and building out that network of mapping of information so that human beings around the world can input the information about what they've done that's helped them to succeed, what they've done that's failed, or what the current trends are, so that if you are trying to build an impact focused business, you can get a sort of blueprint of how to go about doing it. Beyond that, in terms of the platform, we're also doing live streams where we're really focusing on building in public together. So we've been creating content, specifically interviewing founders, and then helping them with accountability each week to receive support about how they can go about working as a collective to solve their problems and sharing that with the world rather than doing it in isolation, where one of the biggest problems faced is the actual fragmentation of resources around the world and the lack of a central repository, which is why we're trying to get this information and then put it into one place so that can be, here's the correct link to go to this website, or here's 10 articles, etc. So that you can really understand without having to go travel the internet how you can propel yourself and make an impact.
Yeah, incredible, incredible, man. I'm so happy that you're doing this work. And what inspires me is that you're still relatively young. I believe you're in your early 20s, right? So
Yeah, I'm
what have you experienced in your life that brought you to do this? Like, what's your story? Just briefly, but I'm curious, you know? Yeah, you must have had some experiences.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I am really passionate about doing as much as I can to make the maximum amount of positive impact on the most amount of people. I was sharing this story in a few grant applications that I've been doing recently, but I graduated from NYU back in December of 2023.
What's that?
I went to New York University.
New York University. Okay.
Yes. And I studied finance and sustainable business, did a lot of social entrepreneurship classes, and I realized when I was in NYU just the power that you as an individual can have to make business a force for good. And so since then, I started my own social enterprise, learned that that did not work, joined a social impact incubator, which is basically it's sort of like an accelerator program for people building companies. Joined the venture studio, which is just similar to like a venture capital firm, specifically building companies that work in social impact. And then I decided to leave that and start my own because I truly felt that not enough people in this world are being empowered towards creating a difference that they want to see, and that the best way for me to contribute as much as I can is to be the connector, be the person that says, oh, let's solve this fragmentation issue together by identifying those working on similar issues and putting them together and kind of making the impact landscape not necessarily smaller, but more well connected. And that's what the goal of Propel Earth is to really just allow people around the world to be able to make impact radically accessible.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that kind of tagline. Yeah, making impact radically accessible. I think that's really, really powerful, because there's a lot of people that want to be part of this change and make a contribution, and they often don't know where to start. And yeah, having more of these platforms that empower founders, but also help founders to connect with the right resources and the right people to build together with, I think it's crucial. And that's really, yeah, foundational to this new era that we're stepping into, I guess, like the one that goes beyond separation, like you were talking about before, go beyond the separation and fragmentation and move into, what is it? Collaboration, unity.
Paradise on Earth.
Paradise on Earth. Yes. Incredible. So yeah, well, that's a nice introduction. Maybe we'll go a little bit deeper later, but I'd love to move to some next questions. Um, so maybe first question, like what do you hope to find or get out of your experience in joining Coherence?
I really want to be able to support more people who really care about changing the world. And that's why when we first connected, I really felt that like connection of you really want to make an impact and you're working towards doing that right now in your own specific way. And what I would like to do with Coherence is basically offer sort of the platform that I have, the network of volunteers, my own self is just a resource. Like our tagline is we help founders for free. So just any way that we can support you in making the change that you want to see in the world is just what I'd like to get out of it. Also building stronger partnerships around the world, specifically like I mentioned about like local communities and global impact. Really making sure that I understand the perspectives of people around the world who are working on these different issues and can create this kind of environment where it's really easy for them to document the change that they're making and how they've made it so that other people can reference it as a means of doing their own work towards solving global challenges.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point. Like, how can we work together in building these repositories of resources that can help anyone build their projects and businesses, right? That's also you see more of these platforms emerging now, or communities that are having this goal, and then how can we exchange all that information between projects? And I do think that AI can play an important role in that. Um, but at the same time, yeah, there is also work to be done in terms of legal frameworks around the commons, and like how does that work? You know, how do we work together as a commons? I think that's yeah, another part that's coming in. What we're also exploring with Coherence, for example, with development of an AI agent, like all the transcripts that we make, like what's the licensing and the agreements around that, when we feed that into an AI agent. And I think current AIs, they are very extractive. They just gather a lot of information and data sets, and often um, not even legally. So I think also in developing this new area of AI, we need to think differently about ownership and stewardship and data sovereignty and all these kind of things. And yeah, I'm just sharing because I think it's a very relevant topic, and it ties into what you're saying about yeah, sharing all this information in a way that it can reach um, the people that need it. Um, yeah, and we need to build infrastructure for that, and that's a whole question. So I think it's one of these questions that's also alive in here. Um, so I'd be very curious to see you also meet some other parties that are part of Coherence to have this conversation.
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about a lot. Just making it really easy for people to, like I said, share their information and the legality that is really important. And especially you're saying AI, like um, one of the largest ways that we could utilize this information really is like a central repository of just what is a question that you might have about making an impact or just a question in general that has access to this large database of information that's more tailored than just how do you ask ChatGPT or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and especially that you can get connected also to the right people straight away, right? Yeah, yeah, cool. Are any specific questions that you bring to Coherence 2025?
Yeah, what's the best way that I should stay in contact with people during this? Is there like a specific group chat? Is it on Telegram or? How should I be messaging people to get connected?
Yeah, okay. I did mean the question a little bit differently, but this is a good question as well. So there is indeed a Telegram group that I will add you to, and there you can meet all the participants, and you can also introduce yourself. Or maybe actually I will do that, but invite you also to introduce yourself so that you're announced to everyone, and everyone can also see what you're about. And yeah, that's the way that we also aim to spark people reaching out to each other and inviting each other for conversations.
Okay.
So,
Other than that, I'd like to know more about, and you explained it to me a little bit earlier before this call, like just the MVP stage. Like, what is the roadmap towards this MVP, and how can us as like partners around the world support you in that journey? And then we could go maybe into the like path after it, but just the MVP I feel like is the most important thing.
yeah, um, I'm gonna park this for a second because I have I want to finish with the question. What questions do you have for me? This was more. So I'm gonna park this for that part.
Okay.
But my question for now is more also like, yeah, what kind of questions do you bring to this ecosystem and this collective, maybe around these topics of collaboration and everything? Like, yeah, just some curiosity that you have that you would like to um, bring into the conversations that you will be having.
Yeah, I think it's currently the best question for me is like sort of how do you access resources to solve challenges? Like what is the way people currently are trying to solve global challenges? Like is it I go on Reddit and I type in my problem and post it in the Build in Public subreddit? Or do I go on ChatGPT and list, hey, here's my startup idea, can you give me feedback? I want to know the ways in which people are trying to make an impact around the world and how we can support them to do it in a smarter way. So just kind of the mindset and the framework that people are employing when they're trying to solve problems would be really interesting to me.
Nice. Okay, I think that's beautiful. Yeah. So understanding how people are solving problems, what kind of mindsets they're applying, and where they're finding the resources that they need
Yes,
to
and the
make the impact
challenges
they
as
want to
well.
do.
Exactly, like understanding really where they're struggling and how
What are
good
their
the solution
challenges? Yeah.
can be. Yes.
Mm, all right. Nice. Okay. Oh, I wanna I wanna let you loose. Um, yeah, these are some very, very beautiful questions, and I would love to see some conversations where you can dig deeper with with some of the people in the ecosystem.
Completely.
So, if you could share some thoughts, what would be projects or organizations you would like to connect and have conversations with?
Um, so there's two sort of buckets right now. There's the people who are building the like companies, which is could be a for-profit, could be a nonprofit. Especially those who are interested in making a positive impact and telling the positive impact to the world. Sort of the idea of goodwill and regenerative practices being at the forefront of saying, you're not just doing this only for profit and we can tell your story. So people building the companies, but also the sort of impact projects that exist around the world. Yours is an impact project where you're connecting an entire community together. And I'd like to share that story because it's a little bit separate, because it's not necessarily about building a business as much as it is about connecting the people. And something similar that I did myself was I did a grassroots movement called Take Down the Stacks, where I organized people around Western Queens to come together and rally for the transition of the largest power plant in New York to renewable energy. And I would like to empower more stories and more organizations working on the ground to actually make change. It's not necessarily a business. So people who are doing that sort of like project-based work, I'd like to connect with and tell that story. And then people doing the actual company-based work, I'd like to tell that as well.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it's nice that you have that diversity and not focus just on one specific or just businesses, but also other kinds of initiatives that are doing important impact work that might not follow a business framework, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And then are there any, specific kind of themes or topics you like to meet projects around, projects that are working on specific kind of themes? Is there any particular area that you feel drawn to or that would help you at this point, you know?
Yeah, I think I would really love to be connected to more companies and more projects working in the climate space specifically, just because that is of interest to me in terms of making the most amount of impact possible. I think that's the largest challenge that we're facing as a society. Beyond that, I have experience working with healthcare companies and neurotech, etc. So I could help with that as well. But climate and energy and healthcare is really sort of the forefront of what I'm doing right now. But there's also ed tech, just any sort of like industry that even might not be necessarily specific towards impact, but you're trying to change in a way that's impactful. Like those trailblazers are the stories that we want to just put to the forefront.
Mm. Yeah, beautiful. Well, I think there's many projects that are at least in a way related to climate because they're, I think, with most, if not all, of the participants, there's this underlying driving value of regeneration, which always is about, well, it doesn't need to relate to nature. It can also be more like social regeneration. But there's always this aspect of giving back more than what you take.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think you'll see a lot of that, and then there's of course the focus on technology, Web3, AI collaboration. So that's kind of the subset. So I'm scanning my mind like what would be nice projects that fall in within that um, array of criteria that you just mentioned. Maybe I'll need to sit a little bit with it, but I'll also introduce you in the group, and then yeah, let's see who's eager to have a chat.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. So maybe we can now jump to the last parts, which is what questions do you have for me? And you already asked the question. Can you reframe? It was
The
about
MVP question you're
MP.
saying?
It was
Yeah.
about the MVP stage,
Yeah.
right?
I just really want to understand best how us as an organization and how telling your story can allow for more resources to go towards the completion of your initial MVP, as well as I think it'll be useful to have you sit down and do like the whole. I've been interviewing people and ask them, who are you? Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you looking for? What is your dream? And then what's your socials? Of like, how can I shout out your philosophy to the world? So maybe if you answered that for me right now, that'll be interesting because that's what I've been doing. I've recorded so many people this past week doing that.
Hmm. Okay, that's a shift in the question. Like, okay, can you help me focus, please? This is a lot of questions. I want one
Yeah.
question at a time.
So we'll start with this. Who are you?
I'm Bart.
Okay. Where are you, Bart?
I'm in the Netherlands right now, where I
Okay.
grew up.
What are you doing?
I'm helping create a global collaborative ecosystem to connect all the people that want to contribute to the bigger vision of creating paradise on Earth.
Very
Um,
nice.
and I'm helping both with making connections as well as helping specific projects come to life, like Coherence, which is one of the main projects I'm involved in currently.
Okay. Who are you looking for?
Hmm. I think we're getting quite saturated in all the things that we're looking for. But one of the things that we're looking for is AI partners that have that are developing tools and have existing tools available to help translate conversations and their transcripts into collective intelligence and make the ecosystem that we're building with coherence, amongst others, through these conversations, make it easier accessible and help people to navigate, find relevant uh, uh, information about relevant topics that's being talked about, as well as finding the people that are working on this topic and the conversations that are where it's happening. So that's a very specific thing we're looking for. We already have like 3 potential partners that we're talking with. So again, we might be saturated with that, And then in the fall, we want to organize a bigger coherence, so with probably 100 plus participants, as well as starting a startup. So for that, we want to line up for funding. And like you were suggesting, you have connections to grant writers, so something like that might actually be very valuable, grant writers, but also connections to other types of funders and investors. Yeah, that's what we want to get in touch with next.
Okay, so AI people that can help with documenting information, potential projects in the future coming in the fall, as well as investors and partners in general that can help fund this effort.
Exactly.
And then what is your dream?
Oh, why don't we start with that? No, I think it's you probably have thought about that. Well, my dream is to create paradise on Earth, and for me that's about remembering the interconnectedness of life, that we're all part of this larger web of existence, and that we as humanity have to find our rightful place and become stewards and custodians of this planet, where we learn to live in harmony with nature and each other. And yeah, I think if we can create that as foundation, then um, yeah, from there people can experience the freedom to discover their own purpose. And that's what you see with a lot of people already. I think that's why we're here, to discover our purpose and to share our gifts and to contribute to the things that excite us and inspire us. Because yeah, for me, this planet is a playground. It's a playground where we can experience life and create. And yeah, I hope to contribute to that reality and help create pathways for more and more people to step into that creator mode and that play mode. And yeah, that we can go beyond the division that's currently taking our world apart. And I know paradise might seem further away than ever, but at the same time, I feel it's closer than we think, because it's right here. It's just a matter of remembering, and that's why we need each other to help us remember.
The last question I have for you is this. Anything you want to share with the world about your philosophy for life, and what are your socials so that people can find you?
Um, well, I love help bringing people visions to life. So if anyone is working on visions that align with this broader vision, then please reach out. I'd love to see what I can do to help you bring this to life, either by going in depth and offering deeper support with strategy and creative visioning, as well as the partnership building. And I think that's the second part, like helping build bridges and weave connections, partnerships that can help bring these visions to life. So that's kind of my area of expertise. So yeah, if anyone is listening to this and wants to reach out, then you can reach me on LinkedIn on Bart Hoorweg. If you look for it, you find it. I think that's maybe the easiest. I also have a website, barthoorweg.life. And yeah, that's it. That's and I'm
You
just
did it.
realizing this is very funny. You've just been turning around this conversation. I was supposed to be onboarding you, but now we're also onboarding me.
That's the whole point. Is what is something that you can do for yourself, and that is share your message with the world. So
Hmm.
thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, any more questions from your side?
Um, what is the next steps for me, and how can I get my entire team to kind of be onboarded as well into this?
Yeah, I think maybe it's good that we discuss this after the recorded part. I'll simply show you, and yeah, we'll see you soon in next conversations with other people.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Stefan.
You're
See,
welcome.
see you soon.
See you.